God is intentional. He wants all his children to wake up, be aware. I put you here for a reason. I put something on the inside of you. The world is waiting to get that gift. What are you doing with it? Why are you sitting on it? Why are you not using it? Why are you not sharing it? Why are you leaving all these problems unsolved? Because your gifts have remained redundant. God is urgently on a mission. Get his children back on track.
Born and raised in the motherland, chasing a better life. Story of an immigrant. Concrete pastures. Concrete pastures.
Hello, family. You are listening to Concrete Pastures Podcast. I am Nancy Mulemwasisi. Thank you so much for tuning in today. For anyone who is new on our platform, this is a space that allows myself and others to share our stories as we deconstruct the world's view of an immigrant status. We unlock the joys, the laughs, and the bravery that being a dreamer brings. So subscribe, like, share, and stay a while as we dive into today's episode. This is exciting. Oh my goodness. This conversation will bless your soul. Grab a pen and paper. There's so much gems in this conversation. I'm so excited. She's finally here. She's been busy making a difference in our community. A huge shout out to Zambasa, the host of the Zambasa podcast for this connect. Let's meet our guest, Dr. Oyinkansola Jinadu, also known as Dr. OJ. OJ, the Mick, she is a philanthropist, public speaker, educator, author, entrepreneur, and a mother of 3 boys. She obtained a Bachelor of Science Degree in Biology from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. She also holds a Master of Science in Psychology from the University of Phoenix, Arizona. She completed her Doctoral Degree of Philosophy in Humanities from the United Graduate College and the Seminary International. She owns and runs multiple businesses under Honeydrops Pro Inc., founder of the Honeydrops Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and a veteran educator with the Dallas ISD. She sits on the board of 2 nonprofits as the president and board secretary, respectively. She is a lifetime member of the International Society of the Female Professionals. She is a published author of 4 books, 5 training manuals, and over 15 published articles. Men mention of living beyond the norm, from the bottom up, and the king of my gifts. Welcome, Doctor. How are you? You're finally here.
I am here. I'm all yours. Thank you so much for having me. I don't take the privilege lightly. I'm super honored that you've invited me to be on your podcast, and definitely excited to share whatever God lays on our heart to discuss today. Thank you so much.
You know, I've been doing so much research before you even got here. You gave me so much energy listening to some of your speeches that you've been giving. You have a lot of energy. So everybody watching, grab a pen and paper. She's going to be dropping a lot of gems. It doesn't matter what we're going to discuss. Honestly, this woman is a powerhouse. So I usually start from home. How was it living in Nigeria? What are your memories that you remember?
I had a lot of fun memories growing up in Nigeria. Growing up in Nigeria was a lot of fun. And depending on how you look at it, maybe not so much fun, because I grew up in a traditional African family. You know, my parents believed in values, discipline, education, and all of the things that makes us strong as Africans in diaspora. So growing up, there was, of course, church. There was a lot of church. You know, here when we go to church for an hour, we're like, okay, I gotta go. In Nigeria, you would be in church for a whole day, literally, you know, and things like that. And of course, my parents were in the financial industry, both of them bankers, retired as bankers, and they grew their career over the years and raised us up. I would also say that I'm grateful to them because they were able to offer me and my siblings a pretty privileged background upbringing. We lacked for nothing, and we didn't have the ideology of the things that most people would want. We had everything that we needed, went to a private private school, went to college, and did all of the amazing things. Had the opportunity to travel out of the country many, many times from when I was a young child. When I was, I think about 4, 5 years old, I was already going abroad and things like that. So being out of the country was something that my parents invested heavily in, making sure we had a very balanced world view and societal view as well. So yeah, my upbringing, to the glory of God, was pretty good.
Oh no, that's amazing. You talk about church. Nigeria, I think, is known as the top Christian church in all of Africa, I think.
Yeah, we're pretty religious, but the spirituality part we're still working on.
I mean, hey, I think for everybody, for all of us, every single day, you gotta get in touch with the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But to get started, you are here in the US over there. How long have you been in?
I've been in the US for this year, next year will be 20 years. I'll be 20 years in the US by 2025. I came in August 2005, officially. Well, to relocate here in 2005, yes, August.
Wow. Oh, I thought I was the only one who's OG here. Yeah, this year's going to be, I came in 2002.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's going to be, 22, 23 years?
Oh, yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. We're practically, Americanized and everything. So I'll start with what you are doing right now, because it's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of inspiration that came from that through my research. So I just would like to know if you could share with us your journey on how you became a multi-potentialist and entrepreneur coach.
I absolutely love that question. Thank you so much for starting from there, because I think it's important for us sometimes to tell the story from the back forward. Yes. And sometimes, a lot more times, it's better to tell it from the front to the back, because it helps you have a very clear and balanced perspective of your journey. And it also gives you a sense of appreciation to see how far you've come in life. We all have a story to tell when it comes to our immigrant story. Mine started when I came into this country, fully educated. Of course, I had no aspirations of living here permanently. I just came to gather more education so I can go back home. But God and life had other plans for me. So upon getting here, I realized quickly that things are not going to be as smooth and easy as I thought. So that was the beginning of my immigrant experience, understanding the need to be immersed into not just the culture of America, but also the system of America. People, those are two different things. Being immersed in the culture and the system, two different things. So started my journey of immersion, and of course, my education quickly became null and void because I couldn't do anything with it. So the only thing that I really started out with as an immigrant here was my ability to have skills. I had these skills that I had developed and picked up as a passion over time, just from my travels. In fact, from living in the UK for about 2 years postgraduate, I started working as a beauty consultant. It was a job that I picked up just to pass time while I was waiting to get into school. And of course, I loved all things beauty, and that was easy. Yeah. So those skills, needless to say, getting here served me big time, because it allowed me to immediately become a business owner. So I started freelancing as a makeup artist. So that was the beginning. Started freelancing as a makeup artist as my systemic immersion continued. Because like I said, you have to do the cultural immersion and the systemic immersion. Both of them have to go hand in hand. And, depending on how you come here and the people you surround yourself with, it will determine the outcomes of those two systems of immersion that you'll go through. Some people come in here and they do the cultural immersion and completely shed off their traditional values. I was very intentional about maintaining my African, Nigerian, Yoruba cultural heritage, while also taking on this, because growing up, like I said, I had a worldview established. So coming to America wasn't anything like, oh, wow, look at me, I'm here. No, it was, okay, I'm here. Okay, what's attainable? How do they behave? When in Rome, act like the Romans. So my parents had that instilled in us, but never forget the child of who you are. That was something they always told us. No matter how far you travel, never forget the child of whom you are. So my cultural immersion went on, of course, as a freelance makeup artist while waiting for my systemic immersion. That happened a couple of years later, gradually. And then I went further with education, which is something that, again, as an African, you have to be educated. Nigerians especially. If you look at data and statistics
Question
in America.
on that. Yes. This is like a side note, you guys really go for the education. What is the pressure like? I don't understand. Like, where did that come from? Because yes, we're all Africans, we all are into education. Our parents drill it every single day. This generation, at least, they've become looser a little bit. But the old school, my mother's, it's just like school. Where did that come from?
So, like, honestly, I believe it came from our colonization. We were colonized by British, the French, you know. So those systems coming into Africa, colonizing African countries, education was part of their colonization system. And when you look at Nigeria as a country, when you read the history and you understand how Nigeria was formed, the southern states or the southern cultures or the people in the South got more educated quicker and faster than any other part of the country. So when you look, so I'm from the South. So education was our bedrock. It was the thing that we held as our mantle. When you go to the East, they did more trade. They were more skill-based. They had skill-based learning as a thing for them. So now for me as a Nigerian Yoruba woman or girl or daughter or son, your parents expect certain things. You go to school, you get an education, but you don't just get an education, dear. You either become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant, the really, you know, the supposedly prestigious career.
That's the part.
Yes.
That's the part. And it's degree over degree over degree.
Exactly.
I can say, yes, Gambians are educated, but you guys are on a whole different level. But I love you all, Africa, but Nigerians, I mean, you guys just tap it all. You tap it all. Wow. Very impressive. Very impressive. Every time I speak to my brothers and sisters from Nigeria, everybody has a different degree up there. I just think it's more.
We pile on the degrees and we make no apologies for it. But here's my thing, knowing what I know now, and even just being in this season of my journey, I understand certain things, right? So bring everything full circle to round up that question. Now, almost 20 years later in the US, gotten all of this education, gotten all of this life experiences, I have invariably become multi-talented. I have invariably picked up a lot of skills along the way. By the way, for me, I just say to the glory of God, any skill I pick up, I master it well. I love mastery because mastery is the only way for me to be able to deliver those skills with my personality. Some people say I'm OCD, whatever, I don't know, but that's their perception of me. I say I have the spirit of excellence, which comes from God.
Yes,
and the spirit of excellence, which is also transferred from my parents. My dad is, I mean, if you meet him, he's 82, 83 now. The man does everything he does with precision. I mean, precision to the point of even his underwear gets ironed and folded a certain way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the precision. So it's something that I inherited. And I'm grateful for that because it's a good thing to inherit. Excellence is a good thing, which is where it's lacking. When you look at the marketplace today, excellence is lacking. It's scarce commodity. So I'm grateful for that. So that's how I became a multi-potentialite. Now, how did I now curate myself to becoming a coach? Of course, in the process of all of that, I've done many businesses. I cannot even begin to name. We'll do another podcast to tell you my journey and evolution in business.
Yeah.
That should be another podcast.
It's already a title. It's already a title.
Let's do that. So now being a coach in this season, I believe is what God has called me to do. Why? Because I have come into more of a heightened spiritual awareness, whereby business is no longer as usual, where I want to do business to make money, to gain status. It's more about impact and purpose. And God started me on this journey many years ago when I established my nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit that I was spending so much money. And even over the years, I was going down memory lane yesterday, talking to a friend of mine, trying to prepare for one of our programs this year. And I said, hey, look at how far we've come. He said, wow, that's a lot. I said, yes, apparently, it's cost a lot. And I didn't realize because when you're in the frame, you don't see the full picture.
No.
But sometimes when you step back and see how far God has brought you, you stop and say, you know what, God, thank you. You appreciate God, but you also have a sense of pride and confidence in who you are, knowing that the next step that you're going to take in your journey, no matter how big or unattainable it appears, when you look at what you've done, you're like, oh, okay, I might got this somehow, if God has helped me to do this, well, let's go, right? So now being a coach, I'm so intentional about helping other people. Using my experiences, when I wrote my book in 2020 and launched at the age of 40, it was me coming full circle to understanding, first of all, I had a gift. And the reason I was so attached to learning things and doing so many things so well is because God has gifted me with the ability to learn and do things well. But of all of those things, the one thing that I knew how to do very well, I enjoyed, whether you paid me or not, I will show up from when I was like a baby. I was doing it, was talking, So I was like, oh, if that is my gift and I'm already using it in the marketplace and I'm already doing all of these things, then God must have a purpose for allowing me to have this gift. So I wrote the book, King of My Gifts. Then out of that book was birthed a coaching program called Journey into Purpose. But when God gives you the assignment, after I launched the book and I did all of this elaborate thing, I did the audio book and I went back to God. I said, okay, now everything is done. What's the next thing? I don't see all the money pouring in. I don't see my account in the millions. What you got from me? Like, why did you have me do all of this if I was not going to be making
how he worked? Don't you know how he worked?
Girl, I was still learning him.
This is the beginning of this.
I was still learning him. So now, in between that time and my frustration with myself, with God, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on business. Let me just find something that's going to make me money. So I went back and God was looking at me as like, okay, back to the aesthetics, back to the beauty. I did that well. That was good. But last year, 2023, it became clear and apparent that God had more for me. And God needed my full attention on helping other people discover what I had discovered. And that was really the foundation of writing the books, writing the courses and not knowing what to do with it, doing all of these things that people have come to know me with. That was really the foundation. And I came full circle. And last year, I really started to intentionally, prayerfully craft my brand, redirect it, evolve it into doing business the way God wants me to. And that's how I became the coach that I am today. And to the glory of God, a lot of doors have opened for me from that. And my business has evolved a lot. But one thing I can say is this: in this season, more than any other season that I have lived as an adult, independently responsible for myself, this is the season where I'm really enjoying peace and the bliss of truly living your purposeful life, doing what God has called you to do. And that's what I really want everyone that I work with, my clients, the corporate teams, I want them to do the work they're doing in the marketplace, having that peace at the back of their mind, that if you wake them up in the middle of the night and say, hey, there's an opportunity for you to do what you do, they will jump up and be like, ready, go, let's go. They're not going to feel like, oh, it's a burden. They're not going to look at Monday and think, oh my God, it's Monday. They're not going to look at it and feel like, oh, I don't get paid enough for this. This is too much stress. I don't want to do this anymore. I want people to truly have the satisfaction in using their gifts the way God intended, because that is really the only way that you can have it all, by the frame of having it all. When they say have it all, you can literally have it all. When you're using your gift for the purpose that God intended, fulfilling the assignment that He has for you in every season, then you will have peace of mind. Then you will have joy. Then there will be a sense of appreciation for who you truly are. Then you get to do it the way that you were created to do it, living authentically, not as a photocopy of everyone else on social media. I'm going to stop right there.
Listen, I could listen to you. Wow. There's so many things coming into my mind while you are talking, because of the work that I'm working, being that it's a calling. It's very hard to understand how God operates in certain areas of your calling. Because sometimes you feel like you've done it, like you wrote the book and you're like, okay, we are done now. And I can remember for myself, I'm like, okay, when I did my episode, season 1, the last episode, which was 20, I was like, okay, God, you asked me to do that episode, so I'm done, right? We're done with that. But He comes back to remind me every so often to do another episode, because somebody else needs it. And I just love your journey as to finding a way that you can be authentic with your calling. And once you find that alignment, you are at peace with yourself. It took me a while to be at peace with this calling, because I have a day job. And then for anybody who is being called, I think just align with it. It will work out eventually. It's not an easy journey. She's not painting it to be easy, But once you give in yourself, I think everything will fall in place for you. Just don't resist. Don't resist. Another question for you, because while you were talking, I'm like, wow, okay, I have many more questions after this. Can you share with us some insights on the importance of combining business and mindset coaching for entrepreneurial success?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. I'm going to try to keep it brief so that way we can cover everything you want to cover in this session. Mm-hmm. So business and mindset is kind of like yin and yang. First of all, the mindset, like for me, I'm a faith-based coach. So you're going to hear me quote a lot of Bible verses. You're going to hear me refer to the gift giver. That's what I call him. That's my pet name for God because he's made me a gifted coach. That's my name because my gifts have made room for me. And I really am here in the marketplace to help other people ensure that their gifts make room for them, not just money, because your gifts can make money for you, but it will not make room for you in this life if you're not doing it the way God intended for you to do it. So mindset first. It says in the beginning was the Word was God. In the beginning, God, right? In the middle, God. And in the end, he also is the same thing. So now when you look at that dynamics of how he set everything up, the first place you have to really conquer and understand who you are before you even get into business and begin to operate as a business owner. I kind of did mine backwards. So by the time God got a hold of me, running here, running there, doing this, doing that, hustle, ambition, come on now. I earned myself this name, the Energy Bunny. I used to think it was a cool name until I realized, okay, that's actually not a cool name. It's a name that was given because I had now taken upon myself the burden to run faster than anyone else, harder than anyone else. And that is pride. Any success that I was getting was tethered to the fact that, yeah, she works hard. Oh, she runs hard. Yeah. But that's pride. There was really no space for God to be glorified in the things I was doing. So I had to recalibrate my mind to understanding, okay, if I'm going to be the entrepreneur that you've called me to be, if I'm going to be the person that I know, because it's one thing for you to know and it's one thing for you not to know. A lot of people are in business without knowing who they are. They're in business because, oh, that's a cool business. Oh, hair, we're selling hair. Okay, that's cool. We can make a lot of money. Let's get into it. Oh, real estate, that's the in thing. I'm going to reinvest in real estate. But why are you doing that? Who are you as a real estate agent or as an investor, as whoever? So the mind first, you have to calibrate your mind and set it in the right place. So now my mind is set at the altar of God. Like, this is how I need to think. I need to see myself as a vessel at all times. I need to see myself as a gift that God has put in this world to serve others. I need to see that. So that mindset, I need to stay humble to know that it's not about me, no matter how eloquent I sound, no matter how much applause I get for performing so well on the stage. When I come down from that stage, I need to understand it's great. I love it. But do not forget this. Remember the Lord your God. Remember him. He's the gift giver. And now he's teaching me all of these things. So mindset is important. Mm-hmm. Understanding your mindset, setting it in the right place is like a compass. It's taking you on a journey. It's going to show you the direction. But if you don't set it well, gravity is not doing the work to ensure the needle is positioning itself. It might take you a little bit tangent off track. So the gravity that needs to ground us in our mind is our relationship with God. And then once we have that sorted out, business, whatever kind of business you're called to, one thing I always tell my students is this: I don't take you through my courses or my coaching to promise you some abundant prosperity, a lot of money waiting for you at the end of the rainbow. But what I'm promising is the fact that God is going to ensure that you get and have everything that he has for you. It might not be a lot of money. So my mindset about success also changed, because I used to think it was the number in your bank account or the size of your house or all the designer things that you could show off on social media. It's what God says. Oyinkan, this is what I have for you here. If a lot of money is part of my assignment, he'll make sure I have it. But if it's not, then he'll give me enough for my assignment. And that's where mindset development, strengthening that, and business. And even in corporate America, when I coach, when I do my emotional intelligence coaching, I tell people, I said, success in corporate America or in this organization, or how much you're able to put in to produce the results that your employer demands of you. It's you knowing who you are, knowing that you here in this organization, there is a lot of value proposition that you possess. But do you know yourself? And never, ever, ever equate your value in this organization to the amount of your paycheck, because you could be making a lot of money, but if you don't have the right mindset and appreciation for who you are, you're never really going to give everything you're supposed to give to the position that you're trusted with. And if you're not making enough, you might end up falling into the trap of undermining the position and the responsibility you're given, thinking that you're doing your employer a disservice. Like, okay, they're not paying me enough for this, I'm not going to do anything. Oh, wow. You're actually shooting yourself in the foot, because that tells me you don't have a sense of awareness and appreciation for who you are. So emotional intelligence as a tool for me helps me to train those types of teams to help them understand, let's get your mind right so that we can increase productivity, increase profitability. And even for the most part, you realize that over time, it would directly increase your earning potential.
Lovely. Lovely. I hope everybody's writing things down. What led for you to helping individuals to harness their diverse talents and their passions?
So what led to it is just identifying the need. Because of my business interest over the years, I get out there and I meet a lot of people. And of course, conversations I had and interactions happen. And I realized that a lot of people don't actually know what it is they're supposed to be doing. And a lot more people are doing things for the wrong reasons. So that need is there. And in the marketplace, I was able to quickly identify that I'm actually able to help a specific demographic that my heart really reaches out to, which is our youth. Our youth are such a very peculiar generation of kids that really need, if care is not taken, they need some type of guidance to ensure that they don't get lost in the source of this life. A lot of things are eroding away. Culture, values, everything is being taken over by systems that are gradually, subliminally, unconsciously programming the next generation to really live in an upside down world. As a mom of 3 boys, I say not on my watch. We have to do something. Wow. So with my foundation, working with kids, and now even with my program, identifying that these kids, a lot of them don't even know they don't have an understanding, awareness of their identity, because they are raised in homes where even parents don't know who they are. So how do you give a child what you don't have? So now we're raising these kids, supposedly sending them out into the world. Yeah, they might learn how to make money, but they don't learn to become the best and highest versions of themselves. They never get introduced to themselves. Some people live a lifetime and never get introduced to themselves. They live as a representative of whatever culture has put on them, trends, whatever peer pressure, whatever social media. They live as a representation of that, but they never become introduced to themselves. So for me, this is very important work. Is it profitable? Do I intend to make it profitable? Yes, because my impact, I need to do that, but it's needed in the marketplace. A lot of people working in corporate America, you're in corporate America, a lot of them just like going to that job, clock in, clock out, pays the bills. And then you spend 20 years on that journey and wake up one day and be like, okay, I know there is more. Everybody gets to a point, and that's the thing, sis. Everybody gets to a point where they start asking those questions. That's why we see a high suicide rate in teenagers ages 9 through 14. In America, the highest suicide rate in that age group. And then when you look at the men, there's another rising number of suicide, because everybody gets to the point where they're like, there's got to be more. Yeah, I have money. I live in this big house. I'm so depressed. I'm so lonely. You see people who go to parties every day hanging around. They have huge numbers of followers and friends, but they are so lonely. They can't even stand the company of themselves. Like some people can literally not spend time by themselves for an hour. They would be like, okay, this is weird. I need to go be with people. But even when they are with people, they are very lonely because there's no meaning to the life they're living because they have not been introduced to themselves. And the life that most people have acquired over time, the representatives that they've acquired over time, when they look in the mirror, they cannot stand the sight of that representative because they know that that representative has represented them poorly and they are not proud of who that person is. So guess what? They want to get away from that person as quickly as they can. And when they are forced to be with that person, then what's the next thought? Depression, oppression. The enemy comes in. And that's the plan. That's the strategy.
Yeah.
So for me, God is intentional. He wants all his children to wake up, be aware. I put you here for a reason. I put something on the inside of you. The world is waiting to get that gift. What are you doing with it? Why are you sitting on it? Why are you not using it? Why are you not sharing it? Why are you leaving all these problems unsolved? Because your gifts have remained redundant. God is urgently on a mission, get his children back on track. So yeah, that's why I chose this path. Well, I did not. He chose it for me, and I'm so grateful that I'm doing this.
So powerful. Once when I went through a hard time, I think I've shared a little bit of this on here through my episodes. And when you get married, I don't know, for some people, you kind of lose yourself into that identity. And exactly what you are talking about in some way, because some people adapt different identities. So it was a shame for me to even so how am I going to move away from this marriage, missing such and such thing? And once I found myself, it was a lot of work to find myself, because I missed myself. But then once I found myself, it was such a huge relief, and it helped me align with my calling. And that's when my calling came in. Once God had done the work on me, it wasn't easy, guys. I think some of you have heard my story, and what Doctor is sharing is so true. God is all about his kingdom, all about his kingdom. The gifts that are inside us, someone else's destiny depends on it. So whenever you are not using your gifts that was God-given, you are delaying someone else's destiny. I love everything you are saying, and I can definitely resonate with what you're saying because of how this came about. The podcast itself, it is a calling, and it took me a while to align with it completely. I was obedient to a certain point, and until I fully immersed myself into it, then I saw what God was doing. But yeah, love what you're saying. I want to get into one of your books. So, Living Beyond Norm, from the bottom up, and how it impacted the founders. So, how has it impacted their readers? What is the audience that you were looking for Living Beyond the Norm?
Amazing. So, the audience for Living Beyond the Norms, I was targeting teenagers. You see, it's a very small book. It's an easy read. There's 7 pillars that were simply explained in there, and we're still using those 7 pillars till today in our foundation's curriculum for helping teenagers live beyond teen dating violence, domestic sexual violence, and empowering them to live above the threshold of mediocrity. So that is what that book was about, targeting youth and even parents to read it, to understand that, wait, let's wake up and understand that no matter how the world looks and how loud it is, we've actually gotten into the upside down place of the world. So now the norms are the good is bad and bad is good. Everything is twisted upside down. So now how do we now get past that? We have to get past the norms of society. We have to get past the reality that we have been confronted with to begin to shift our mindset, to focus on certain areas that would help us push and give our children a fighting chance. Living beyond the norms, breaking the cycle from the bottom up means let's help break the cycle for our kids. Because I'm thinking now, adults are adults. Some of them are set in their ways. Not that I'm giving up on them, but like I said, my heart and my calling has always been to the younger generation, the youth. So now if we can catch them, stop them in their tracks and say, hey, this is not the way, this is the way. Education, learn. This is not the way, this is the way. You are a business because you have a gift the world needs. Let's build you up. Oh, wait, this is not the way. Spirituality is important. You're not just a physical being floating around like energy, like the new age wants to tell us that we are. Oh, we can say, hey, stop. Positive psychology, don't ever forget who you are. Remember that you are wonderfully and fearfully made in the image of your Father. You are beautiful no matter what the world says. You have value. You're strong. You're confident because you're the child of a lion. You're not a chicken. You rise above. You fly high like the eagles. We speak those words and let our kids understand positively, helping them build strength from when they're young, telling them who they are, allowing them to be introduced to themselves early. So when they get out in the world is not going to tell them who they're not. So that's really the premise of the first book. And when that was done, I was like, okay, I thought, I really didn't have the idea to write another book. But then, of course, life and my journey, and like I said, just knowing the story, the second book was birthed and every other thing came afterwards.
That's amazing. I mean, a lot of us, especially our diaspora community, we are doing something here and there. We have 10 jobs and we're doing a side hustle on the side. Could you share some tips on us who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs on how to unlock our full potential to be successful in this business thing?
Yeah, business is very tricky. Honestly, the playbook of business starts from understanding the principles of wealth. What does the Bible say about wealth building, right? When we look at immigrants and Africans in diaspora, myself included, all of us were from one village. Like I say, my village people. Doesn't matter whether you're African, Sierra Leonean, Cameroonian, wherever. We're all from one big continent called Africa. That's our big village. We come to this country and we want to make money. But a lot of people go into business not learning and understanding the principles of business itself. One of the things that God did before he put us here was to create a system. He created light because of course we need it. He separated land from the sea because he knew that we were not, the Big Bang Theory or evolution in science. I'm a science teacher. Tell us we're amphibians, we swam as fish, then we evolved. No. God created humans, point blank period, right? Let's just settle that. So he created... My darling, he created us.
I love it.
He created the system first before he put us in the system. He put the garden in place. Everything was in place. The tree of life and all of that was there. Then he put us in there. Then after he put us in there, he gave stipulations and guidelines. This is how you operate. Please don't step out of these guidelines because if you do, XYZ. And then we failed an open book test. God was not hiding anything from us. He gave us the guidelines and then we just point blank failed an open book test. And we are still failing the open book test today. We're still failing it, just like we just going. But now some of us and a lot of us children, God is calling us back to say, look, stop failing this open book test. If you want to do business, it has to be about the kingdom. The kingdom in that time was the Garden of Eden. It was like, go in there, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue, and have dominion. So when you look at those 5 mandates of things, it also translates into doing business the kingdom way. Being fruitful is important. Fruitfulness is not profitability. Profitability is multiplication. So a lot of us immigrants, we focus on the multiplication. We want that money. Yeah, I know we have a lot of responsibilities. We have so many family members back home, even the ones that are not your family members, they're waiting for you to do something. But we have to really begin to do business the kingdom way. We don't focus on the fruitfulness because the fruit of our business, a lot of African businesses are not set up right. We live in America, but we don't respect the system that is set in place for operating. A lot of businesses don't have the structure and the systems that they need to actually even take advantage of benefits that will help them, ironically, right? So that's one of the things that I see that hinders us. Why do I know this? I made a lot of errors in my way and I learned. So now that I'm learning, I try to teach. It's kind of like I learn, I teach, I learn, I teach. I can't hold on to information. So if you tell me you have an idea, the first thing I'm thinking is this idea that you have, how are we going to create a system around it first? How are we going to put the right systems in place before you even begin to deploy your idea, before you deploy your gift? Before I deployed myself as Dr. OJ, the coach, guess what? The brand was established. The systems were in place. The gift was there. That was the free one. That was free, given to me by God. But now I had to be responsible to invest in it. So the investment I've made in my gift today, when people call on me and say, hey, Dr. O, we need this from you, XYZ, I'm like, oh, I got it. They're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, my company is business set up. I file my taxes every year. I have all of the documentation I need. When I learned that doing business, and then, you have certifications that you should have for you. I sat down, took hours, painfully, got those things in place for my business. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the things that I see that immigrants are not mindful of. And really, when you look at it, even Jesus said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So part of your fruitfulness, part of your multiplication, part of your ability to replenish the earth is kingdom principles that also tie in some responsibilities to the world, because you are in the world, but you are not of the world. But if you are in the world and you're not doing business the way the marketplace requires you to do it, you're going to be limited. God's part is there, but you have to do the part of the world that we live in. So if we're here as Africans in diaspora, we have to do things the way the American system wants us to do it, so that way we can get the full benefit of what we're doing here. So that's really my take. I hope it really helps somebody.
No, it's really good. It's really good. I mean, guys, I mentioned Dr. O is multi-talented with a lot of jobs under her belt. She's also a podcaster. So do you mind just sharing with us what your podcast is about and how did that come about? I mean, I could always tell.
Podcasting came about when I started setting up my personal brand in 2021. So understanding that the king of my gifts was speaking, talking, I knew that I was called to be a speaker. When you have a certain gift, and by the way, you said something earlier. Let me piggyback off of that. The fact that someone else's gift is waiting to come alive because of yours. However, that's so true. But you know what? God is doing something different in this day and age. You know what God is doing? He's so intentional about his mission that if you are wasting time, God is so intentional about his mission for his children. If you are wasting time and sitting on your gift, trust me, he has your replacement waiting. He has your replacement waiting. God is not in the business of holding someone else's destiny forever for you to come through for him. He says, if you will not praise me, I will raise the stones to do it. So if God is going to raise a stone to replace you as a human, you think he's going to wait on you to keep his child in bondage while you're sitting there deciding whether you want to do what you're called to do or not? I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm harsh like that.
No, man. I see the passion. I already knew. I mean, you are a speaker, so I already knew I was coming. So I was excited since this morning.
So when you talk about this question that you just asked me, right? Which is, remind me again.
How did the podcast come about?
The podcast, yes. So the podcast came about as part of my brand. So, when you're building and stuff like that, and that's the intentionality. When I really started to find my space and my voice, I knew that, okay, there's several different expressions of my voice. I can act. I've done that. I can do a lot of things with my voice and using that gift, but I really needed to know which was which. So guess what I did? I tried it all. I tried every single thing that my voice could offer as a gift. Of course, speaking engagements, teaching, acting, podcasting. Of course, I have a YouTube channel. So creating all different forms of content. And now in 2024, with the help of God and the Holy Spirit, we have funneled it down. We know who we are more and more every day, right? So now I'm a speaker. I do that very well. I'm a trainer. I train, I teach. I have that gift. So my gift finds expression in teaching and training people. My gift finds expression in speaking. I speak life. I speak on several different subject matters that are, aligned with my brand, right? And of course, I create content. So now the podcasting is also a part of the content. So that's how that came about. So yes, and some things that I started out with, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore.
The cool thing about God is He'll continue to evolve you into different things as you go. So it's just beautiful to hear how you've evolved from when you started to now, even towards the end of our conversation. But you, my dear, you are doing so much. You're a mother of 3 boys. How are you finding time and balancing all of these multi-businesses and projects and assignments?
That's a really good question. It's not easy. First of all, let me just put it out there. Let's just be done with that. It is not easy, but it's worth it. So I have my kids. God has gifted me these 3 humans who are going to do what they need to do for God. So I have that primary responsibility. Primary because it's the number one. It's primary because it's number one for me to do. So making sure that their destinies, their lives, and everything around them is taken care of. And that's why, God is such a gracious God. That is why it's actually become more important for me to advocate for people to discover what their gifts are and find their space and their voice in this life. Because when you find that positioning, honestly, in some type of weird spiritual arrangement, everything else will sort of fall into alignment. Honestly, when I hear, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm inundated, this and this and this. I look at it and I look at myself and I see myself in a very recent past. I'm like, wow, that was me. But now I work hard. I do what I need to do. Like I said today, I had a client come, I was gone. But in my home, I've created a system around my children that ensures that everything that I take on, I build it around this primary assignment. So I'm doing everything, yes. And also, eventually, over time, I'm growing in leaps and bounds and understanding how to systemize everything I'm doing, gradually replacing myself in some areas. In this season, yes, I'm able to do that. So it allows me to now see the growth and appreciate it, but then be able to still keep going hard without breaking down, without feeling inundated and overwhelmed. And if you're faith-based as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, the Holy Spirit will always allow the right things to happen for you at the right time. And He will give you the instruction, the direction, the wisdom. Wisdom is profitable to direct. Wisdom means when you know that you're not able to do it all by yourself, get help. That's wisdom. It's not you being lazy. Wisdom is being able to ensure. And I tell parents this, training your kids, it's not easy. And I'm never going to look down on any parent to say, oh, your kids turned out this way, because wisdom is just asking God to help you train your kids. Because when we train them and equip them, breaking the cycle from the bottom up, back to my first book, when we train them and equip them, it also in turn makes our lives easier eventually. But we have to front load the effort. We have to front load the effort, but God helps us as well. So yeah, all of these things have been possible because honestly, some days I don't even know how I get through some days. I'm not going to lie to you. I go into some seasons, I'm looking at what's ahead, maybe a week, a particular day, and I'm like, oh God. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a big one. It's going to be a tough one. But then we just pop like, oh, we made it through. Oh, Jesus, I'm still standing. Thank you, Lord.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, I can talk to you forever. I know this is the end of your day. It's not 5 for you, it's 6:30.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yes, we've been on for over an hour. Wow.
Yeah. So it's 6 for me. But I mean, this has been, for me, it's food to my soul. And it's been so inspirational. I've been wanting for you to come on just so everybody can be inspired and be blessed just by your words and just whatever God is giving you to give to us. That's it. This has been an honor. Thank you so much for being here. Anything else that's on your heart that you want to share with us, to leave us with?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Like I said, I don't take it lightly when I get on any platform. I don't take it lightly when someone singles, because there are billions of people on this earth. So there's no sense of entitlement here ever. It's always gratitude. Nobody owes you anything. So when you get someone reach out to you, identifies the gift in you and reach out to you, it's a privilege. And it's always a moment of gratitude to say, Lord, thank you for allowing me to be seen and heard, because those are some of the fundamental needs that humans have. They need to be loved, number 1. They need to be seen, number 2. They need to be heard, number 3. They need to be understood, number 4. So that is where we have security, the need for security, and all of those things that we strive. The pursuit of happiness, right? That's what we call it. But one thing is when you pursue God, all those things come pursuing you. So if I'm going to leave anything with you and our audience today, is the fact that when you learn to submit to the gift giver, as I said, that's my pet name for God, because He's such a gracious God and He gives us so much. He will gift us our abilities. He will gift us time. He will gift us the energy. He's always gifting. He's in the business of giving us gifts every day. But a lot of us don't appreciate it. We don't recognize it because we have been overwhelmed and inundated by life, which happens. It's a reality. But if we take a moment to step back from life and let life itself to the side, but let's focus on Him. Everything else in time will come after you, and it will just be as it's supposed to be, like we were supposed to be on this podcast. But the version of me then probably not have delivered this message then. So God has everything set up the way it's supposed to happen. So I am on this podcast exactly when God wanted me to be. And I know whatever this message is for somebody who needs to hear it. So if we can step back at life and step up to God and just focus our energy on Him. First of all, our gift is there. He will bring that gift to the surface and make it exactly what it needs to be. And your purpose will be fulfilled. I don't want anyone who will ever encounter me, whether on this podcast or anywhere else, to get to the end of their lives and look back and have the regret of, I wish I had done XYZ. When I leave, I told my kids the other day, for a weird reason, I just feel like I'm not scared to die, because I know I'm not going to die soon, but I'm not, because I know that for every moment I have lived up until now, especially as I'm living now, I am doing exactly what my Father wants me to do. And the one that is not exact, I'm asking for mercy to feed into His agenda more and more and more every day. So please do not miss that opportunity to get acquainted, build a relationship, get intimate with the gift giver. Everything else, parenting, wealth, riches, relationships, connections, everything else will come with the package. The world does it backwards. Say, oh, let me give you this. But you're missing the fundamentals. Your peace is going. Your joy is eroding. Everything else is leaving you that you need to live a wholesome life. But God has all of those things. So we have a very simple task. Pursue the gift giver, and everything else comes into play. I'm so grateful. Thank you so very much, my sister. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a privilege. I have enjoyed talking with you today. And I just pray that God Himself will take you where He has planned for you to be. There is a desire in His heart for each of us. It says, for I know the thoughts that I think of you, thoughts of good, not of evil. There is a revelation in that Bible verse. All God is asking us to say is, look, I know what I have in my mind. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. I gave you your name, and I appointed you a prophet unto the nations. So if I have done that, all I need you to do is to look at me, seek me. So when I came into that revelation, guess what? All I pray for several things. But when I sum it up with my own mind that is so limited, I say, Lord, in all things, I want that thing in your heart. That thing in your heart for me, I want it. I don't want to leave this world until you have fulfilled your desire. And guess what? That thing in His heart is ever evolving, is ever expanding, is ever growing. That's why He says the path of the righteous will shine brighter and brighter and brighter, even until the perfect day. The day of perfection comes at death, when we transition into glory. So while you're here, your life is supposed to be transitioning from glory to glory. That's what is in God's heart. So that's what I pray for. And that's what I'm praying for you, my sister, that your path will shine brighter and brighter. You have not seen yet what God has in store for you. For He says it, that eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and it has not even entered the hearts of men, because His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are so much higher than what we think or imagine. So eyes have not seen what God has in store for you, because what He has in His heart, God's heart is big. What He has in His heart for you, it will surely come to pass. And that is what I pray for you. That is what I pray for myself. That's what I pray for my children, in Jesus' name.
Amen. I receive that. You know, that's my verse, Jeremiah 29, verse 11. An angel gave this to me years ago in my country. And
Wow.
as you mentioned it, I
Wow.
got chills. Yeah, I've encountered angels 2 times in my lifetime. And I was going through the most, and an angel gave me that verse.
Wow.
So once you mentioned it, I was like, okay, this message is for me.
The Holy Spirit, He don't lie. He don't lie. He comes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm even getting teary. So I was like, wow, every time that catches me. Every time someone mentioned that, it catches me.
That's to tell you how mindful God is of you. He's very mindful of you. He's very intentional about you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, God, for your message through my sister. Wow. So for anybody who's looking to follow you, to get in touch, how can they find you? I know we have the podcast, Dr. OJ Speaks, right?
Yeah, I'll send you a link which you can attach to this video. But all of my social media platforms, they're all the same, Dr. OJ Speaks. Even my handle on YouTube is the same, Dr. OJ Speaks. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm on every social media platform, TikTok. So for several different things. I'm a financial wellness agent, life agent. I'm a licensed life agent. So I educate people on financial wellness because God wants the kingdom to be financially strong. So we all have to learn how that's going to happen. It's not by accident. It has to be intentional. The world system operates a certain way that a lot of Christians do not understand. Just because you're paying your tithe does not mean you're going to be wealthy. Let's just set that straight. You got to do certain things. Okay. All right. I'm going to run by that. So your Christian brothers and sisters don't come for me, but they can come. It's okay. Look, I don't have a reputation to protect, God's reputation. So if you come for me, I'll just send you people to him. But so all of these things are there online, Dr. OJ Speaks. My website is the same, drojspeaks.com. Everything is just the way it is, Dr. OJ Speaks. So definitely come through and see what I can do to help serve you. I'm here. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for blessing us. This has been amazing. Thank you. Thank you. That's it on today's episode. It's truly an honor to serve each and every dreamer. Concrete Pastures now provides targeted services to dreamers coming to the US of A. We assist you to successfully integrate. We are here to support you as you write your new chapter. Kindly check out our services in the link tree. Until next time, keep dreaming.
Born and